من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا. واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا. ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا. أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها سيجعل الله بعد عسر يسرا. وكأين من عتت عن أمر ربها ورسله فحاسبناها حسابا شديدا وعذبناها عذابا نكرا فذاقت وبال أمرها وكان عاقبة أمرها خسرا. أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب الذين آمنوا قد أنزل الله إليكم ذكرا رسولا يتلو عليكم آيات الله مبينات ليخرج الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور ومن يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا قد أحسن الله له رزقا. الله الذي خلق 7 سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما.
As the gender war rages on, in order to keep the peace, we must discuss the exact facts. Welcome to Exactly. I'm your host, Saudi Ma'am. Remove your shoes and enter upon your right foot, upon the right state of mind, bi'idhnillah. I pray that you all caught the beginning of that intro because I have my microphone on its stand. Nevertheless, topic: emotional incest. Raising the man of her dreams. Raising the man of her dreams. Now, the topic is a bit harsh as far as the title is concerned. The subject matter may be considered harsh to some and just everyday run-of-the-mill facts to others. But nevertheless, emotional incest, apart from the physical, is affecting society. One may affect an individual. One is affecting society. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. For boo, I mean duty. Inshallah ta'ala. You want to come on out? I can send you the link, inshallah, if you want to come on. Nevertheless, one is physical, affects the individual, as I stated, and one emotional affects society. Now, I'll explain the differences between the two and the impacts of the two, and why the emotional incest is worse than the physical. Now, what can be worse than physical incest? Interfamily relations, like with the royal family. The reason they look like that, because they did a lot of inbreeding, okay? Lots of inbreeding. So, they never could get quite right. Have you seen Prince Charles's fingers? He has sausage fingers. They say this may be due to the incest, okay? So we have to really, really, really be careful saying that the emotional, is worse than the physical. But when I explain it to you, perhaps you will see it my way. Not necessarily that you see it my way, but perhaps you will, and we will open it up for discussion. Now, if I were to say that single moms lead in producing every category of degeneracy, every single category of degeneracy, they lead. They don't have a monopoly. They say Jeffrey Dahmer came from a two-family household, so they don't have a monopoly on degeneracy, but in the high percentages, they lead in producing degenerates. How do I mean? Serial killers, mass shooters, LG HD TV 4K HDMI, gangbangers, offenders, inmates. They lead in producing these categories, dropouts, okay? So on and so forth. They lead in these categories. You say, well, mothers are the best thing since sliced bread. Well, they're better than sliced bread. I'm a witness to that. But we're not attacking mothers. We're saying that the balance that Allah Ta'ala created and ordained is not sufficient, that a single mother tried to carry this out. What about single dads, you say? Well, single dads have a low percentage in producing degenerates, and it's simply because the father is an authoritative figure. Mothers are not. A father is an authoritative figure. Our voice has more impact upon a young adult, a child, than a woman's soft, pleasant voice, okay? So single fathers do not produce degenerates even near the level. Now, of course, there'll be a single father, and then the child might become a degenerate, but that's a low percentage, low stats. Before single moms, and again, this is not attacking single moms, because single moms are trying to get it how they live. They're trying to get it on their own. So we have to go into why is this particular person single, and why are so many single. We have to go into that in order to discover why there is an epidemic of single moms. Okay, we'll go into it. Nevertheless, single moms lead in every category of producing degenerate citizens. Okay, producing degenerate citizens. Again, because the father is the authoritative figure, the mother is not. One sister even said she deepens, she lowers her voice to make her kids take out the trash. That's what she does. Now, wouldn't we rather her voice just stay nice and pleasant and high pitch, or not as low as a man's voice? We wouldn't want that. But she says she does that to make them listen. It is well known, and I talked about this before, that women that take on jobs that require masculine traits, like COs, correctional officers, police, firemen, things like that. This is why bulldaggers tend to lean toward these type of jobs. And if natural women tend to lean toward these type of jobs, mainly because they come from a small town, and that's like one of the biggest businesses that are actually hiring. So they go into that, and they get to look at naked men all day, men pleasuring themselves in front of them, men, exposing themselves, men showering, and they have to watch the men because of security concern. They have to tell the men, get over there and get in line, and they have to produce themselves as masculine, or present themselves as masculine. Then what happens when they get home? See, they got to shut that down. If they don't shut it down, they're going to cause problems in the household. That's why divorce goes up. Even for nurses, even for nurses, divorce rate is very, very high. So we have to understand these factors and the balance that Allah Ta'ala created, the male and the female is the, dhakara and unta, you know what I'm saying? Male and female, that is actually the balance. And when one is missing, it's not going to be the same. But a single man can readily find a nurturing woman to help him balance those children that are not even hers. But how often can a single mom find a man to balance? How often? A lot of times those dudes that prey on single moms, I don't mean prey as in Pray. I'm saying those males that prey on single women tend to have an agenda. I'm not saying, always nefarious, but sometimes they just need a place to lay their head. I know a situation like that now. Nevertheless, when hearing that single moms lead in producing societal degenerates, the first response is shock and disbelief. What? Nah. What? Nah. That's it. What? Nah. That's what you're going to get. Because they can't absorb that haqq. They can't absorb that truth. Okay? So they're going to say, what? Nah. Okay? Second response. I'm going to go look that up. Hold on. So they do the research. They come back. Yeah, I mean, okay, I read it, but so they're reluctant. They're reluctant to accept it. So they're teetering. Okay, they're reluctant. And the fourth one, you think is acceptance, right? Not acceptance. The fourth one becomes excuses and blaming. Well, I mean, okay, they single moms. I mean, they got to do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? And where are the men? I mean, why the men aren't there? Obviously, they were abusive. That's the first place they go. Men are abusive. Do you know how many women are abusive? Do you know that a lot of domestic violence is started by women? Did you know that? Hey, you got to talk to the police departments. Go to the FBI website. A lot of domestic violence is started actually by women. Women threw the first punch. But she didn't expect that ricochet. You know what I'm saying? She didn't expect that bounce back. You know what I'm saying? She didn't expect it. So anyway, with that being said, the fourth one is excuses and blaming. Okay? So everybody's at fault except the woman. But some women have divorced, became single. They thought the grass was greener, find out there was no grass at all. It was artificial turf. You can't graze on that. And then they regretted leaving their husbands. There's a lot of stories out there. Women regretted leaving their husbands because they thought that next guy, because remember, women cheat up. So they see another guy, they say, ooh, he's better than my husband. He's taller. He has more money. He's this and that. Yeah, he got more choices too. Why would he choose you, single mom? I told my children's mother, I say, look, that next dude, if there's a next dude, I said, I would be highly suspicious, that he wants a woman with this many kids, especially young kids. I would be highly suspicious. Highly suspicious. I said, in the circle of men, we'd be like, what's up with this dude? Oh, perhaps he's thinking about the blessings, Ak. Well, a lot of blessings. There are blessings of women with one kid. Why are you going to choose one with four? But anyway, nevertheless, no man in the home, that means single mom, okay? Because she did not give the kids over to the father, which is her option. She didn't give the kids over to the father, which is her option. She kept them like poker cards close to the vest. Okay, so I'm going to bring in Brother Black Mind real quick, inshallah ta'ala, and I'm going to let him hop in after I make this next point. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ya akhi.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. ايش شلونك؟
Loud, loud and clear.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So I was saying that there's no man in the home, so that equals single mom, right? And she did not give the children over to the father, so that equals again single mom. Okay. So and not only that, we have to understand that some cultures, women just don't divorce. They don't divorce. It's not worth it. They understand that, they believe in the Whitney Houston theory that children are our future. You know what I'm saying? So they're not going to break up the home because they know it affects the children more than it affects anyone. So they want to keep the home together. A lot of cultures are not into divorce. I was engaged to a Palestinian sister before, and she said, "Look, we don't divorce, right?" I said, I get it. No. She said, no, you don't understand. If we marry, we're not divorcing. She's telling me that whatever we got to do, we got to work it out. But we're not divorcing. That shames my family. Okay. Imagine if everybody else had that mentality. These things will stay together. Well, I divorced him because he married another woman. Well, aren't you Muslim? Yeah, I'm Muslim, but you Muslim, but okay, I get it. You know what comes out the butt, right? I'm Muslim, but
Yeah.
you know. So the last thing I want to mention before I let you jump in was that not only that she broke up the home, she wrecked her own home, and she became a single mom. Guess what else? It's a family curse. It's a generational curse. You know why? There's no father figure to be found anywhere. Now let's say the father went to prison, or the father died, or the father, let's call him a jerk. Let's go with their scenario. He's a jerk, okay? He's an oppressor. He's this, he's that. Okay, why are there no father figures in your family? Which includes your father, your uncles, your brothers. Why are there no father figures that could limit, or decrease the trauma that child would go through by not having a father figure? And that would be the question that I ask before we get deep into the incest part of it. What do you got on this, Akhi?
Um, if divorce was, I view divorce the same way that I generally view marriage. If we go to any unbalanced extreme, we're going to pay heavily, and society's going to pay. Um, but we certainly do live in an era in which it's just considered to be entirely too easy, that you divorce for some of the dumbest reasons. And what we know now, because it is easier for women to initiate and complete the same divorce they initiated, we now know that it's just entirely too easy for them, and that they're more likely to end the marriages
And it's
based on things.
incentivized. Incentivized.
It is incentivized in the West, absolutely. It is incentivized. We know stateside it is. Probably Canada's about the same. They say that in the UK it's roughly the same thing. So it is incentivized. In India, it's incentivized, and because their laws are actually gender specific, uh, both in the way that they're written and in the application of them. In a nutshell, it's just that they, and you want to talk about real misandry. In India, it's encoded into law. Um, the stuff that Indian men and even Indian lawyers will tell you will make you know that they're pretty much at war against men. And the women can beat up on the men, and only the man cannot be considered a victim of domestic violence, even if it's on video. So if we take on that, if we were to set up and make it entirely, what we're looking at is what happens when we make it entirely too easy. And the horror stories that people tell about, well, when you couldn't get a divorce that easily, people were walking around miserable. I would say maybe that's the case, maybe not. How would we know? It probably would be the guy that was walking around miserable. But right now, we see one extreme. And previously, you didn't have a bunch of women out in the streets telling everybody that they were miserable, and you didn't have them showing signs necessarily of being miserable. But we know that they're miserable anyway. In the West, we now know the women, they're going to be miserable if they have the same guy for a long time. And then they're going to be miserable if he leaves. So the only way they're not miserable is when they're the ones doing the leaving. They have to be pursued, then they have to leave. And so really what we're seeing play out on the kids is nothing other than that insistence upon them being pursued and then them doing the leaving. So all they're really saying is, I must be chased, and I don't mean CHASTE. I mean pursued. I must be pursued, and then I must leave. I must end the relationship. You do all the work to start it, from the first approach to proposing marriage to me and everything, and then I'm going to be the one to file because I'm not happy. It has to be that. And so, really, what we're seeing play out in the kids is nothing more than that. And so, that's one of the reasons why it is that they've been sitting up here telling men that there's all these blessings if you wife up the single mom, and if you pursue the single mom. They're saying this, and unfortunately, they're teaching men that that you should be looking for this. You should be looking to be stepdad before your dad. Now, everything that comes about after that is just a result of that, and they're pretty much making it's true. They're pretty much making these kids, or they're starting these kids off with every disadvantage, because, like you said, when a man's got options, he's going to choose to raise his own.
I'm gonna say something. I'll probably get in trouble for it. If we use the example of let's say a first date, right? You want to be dressed to impress, even if it comes out of the closet. Even if you wore it 100 times, you're gonna wear something nice, right?
Right.
First sit down, if you've cat for first date or whatever, right? Okay, you don't go, and let's say you don't have anything nice to wear or something that will impress. So you don't go to Goodwill. You get what I'm saying? Goodwill is like an extension of the closet you have. You don't have anything nice, right? So you don't go to
Yes.
Goodwill, and this is a problem. When a man is looking for something impressive to adorn himself. Remember, Allah Ta'ala says that women are libas for us. They're garments for us. They cover our shame. And we're like libas for them. We're like garments for them. So we want to put on a decent garment, right, to impress, and not necessarily impress the crowd, but to be impressive, right? Why would you go to Goodwill? So if a man has choices, Miss Single Mom, who just got through screaming at her kids at the gas station, and the man walks up, hey, how you doing? And I can't believe you want to talk to me. I got 2 kids, and there's one dude. I don't know if you've seen this TikTok. One dude approached a woman. He said, yeah, you got kids? I said, yeah, I got kids. He said, "See, we both parents. We put them kids together." And he told her, say, you don't look good, and this and that, and I mean he gave her a whole single mom type Mac, and she like, okay, well, okay, you can have my number, like the whole thing was like, put my kids with your kids. That was this whole thing, right? Now, you can tell he's shopping at Goodwill. You know what I'm saying? He's shopping at Goodwill because he's putting forth it's deception. That's not what we do. That's not how we talk. You meet some woman, she got the fake hair, she got the fake lashes, she tatted up everywhere, and she got a bunch of kids, and you can have kids. That's fine. You're responsible for them, right? A man don't get money from the state, but a woman does. Like say incentivized, right? So he approaches woman this way, and he talking about. She said, "Boy, I got kids. You got kids. I got kids. We put our kids together." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you sound different." I'm like, man, the fantasy. They selling these fantasies, man. It's like I said, it's like shopping. You ain't got nothing good to wear, something decent, something that will impress. You don't go shopping at Goodwill. You don't do that. And that's the problem, And I'm not calling single moms Goodwill, but if a man had the choice to be with a woman that had 4 kids, 1 kid, or no kids, he doesn't go for the woman with kids. Whether even if it's 1, he doesn't. And if he does, over the woman that has, all things being equal, right? All things being equal. You got to say that. All things being equal. Equal age, equal looks, equal whatever, you're going to go for the one that doesn't have kids. It's just like when I married for the first time, I was 24. I married for the first time. 24, just turned 25, something like that. Brother told me, he said, man, look, don't make a baby right away. He said, you and your wife take time and enjoy each other. He said, the babies could come. You're fertile, she's fertile. The babies will come. He said, take time and enjoy each other. Men want to enjoy their women. We don't look for children when we want to enjoy women, except that there's a deficiency with us. That means we're deficient some kind of way. So we look for women with children, and but even if we find one with children, we may go for her, but we don't pass off something equal with no kids. It's hard for women to swallow that. But this is coming from a man, and I'm not supposed to tell you these secrets. I'm not supposed to tell you these secrets. If a man has
Well,
choices, he's not going to choose you. It's just real.
yeah. I'm saying this as a man with him. And previously, I would have said, um, as a dad myself, I previously would have said, well, it's an even match. Um, but nowadays, I would probably tell other guys, not myself, but nowadays, I'd probably tell other guys who are dads, no, you know what? Still go ahead and look for someone childless, and here's why. Because you're still going to have to be the one to do all the caretaking. And if they belong to somebody else, she's just going to double bill. And that's the difference. You're as a dad, you're not allowed to double bill for them. You're not allowed to go to their mom or to the new wife with your hands out on their behalf. Whereas she's going to do that in your case. She's going to say, "Well, Dad ain't got it, um, but they need this." And meanwhile, you don't know this, and this is one of the reasons they don't really want dad and stepdad to communicate much, because you won't know this, but she already went to dad and got it, and then she's coming to you. She's just double billing, so she's got more for herself. And this is a common trick. The other thing too is that, see, it's okay to tell these ladies this nowadays, that men are not going around looking to raise somebody else's, and here's why. Because the women are practicing the dual mating strategy where we live right now. Well, where you live now, I haven't lived there in a long time, but um, they're practicing the dual mating strategy. They're pretty much saying this guy is to breed and the other guy is to feed. This guy gets to play, the other guys have to pay. So because they're not going to one guy for the bulk of their needs, they're
Did
not
you see
going
the
to the guy that
meme?
they.
I mentioned the meme one of the other times. I said the woman said, "Once you find out you're pregnant, choose the father wisely."
Yes, you did.
After she's pregnant,
Uh-huh. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, you did show that meme. I'm trying to remember exactly how long ago it was, but yeah, you did.
and that
Um,
means you are not the father. That's what that means.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because see, we already know that chances are, it's a very high chance that it's not the responsible guy that conceived and
yeah,
sired.
yeah,
We're seeing this now that most of the time that's not the case. That's why they're going on these Maury Povich shows for the ninth time in a row, and then running to the back of the studio in shame because he ain't the dad either. It's because they keep trying to circle the drain, um, but they don't want to they don't want to admit that because they had the best time, because they had the most enjoyment with the guy that is the drain, with the worst possible guy. That's where they conceive. They don't want to accept that. And so then they keep on trying to find someone else and find someone else. And a lot of times they're not even honest about the time of conception when they talk to these guys.
yeah,
The guy might not remember exactly how long ago it was, and she just says, "Well, yeah, the times match up." So then he goes on the show to see if he's dead or not.
yeah,
But in the end, it just comes down to that they're choosing intentionally. They're choosing when it comes to the bump and grind. They're choosing the worst possible one, and then they don't want that to be the dad later on.
yeah,
They're not coming to grips with that. But in fact, it comes down to it really does come down to what they chose. They're just genetically waging war against men. I've been saying this for a while. They are choosing men to not reproduce based on the men's sense of morality and responsibility. They're out here choosing, whether it's conscious or not, they're out here choosing the worst possible man with the lowest morality or the least sense of responsibility, and they're conceiving with those guys. And if you're a guy that has a sense of morality and responsibility, they want you to have fewer kids, fewer offspring, or if not, or they don't want you to have any at all,
yeah,
because they view morality as a weakness. And this is playing out, and now the kids are suffering for it. And then because they can't get the guy that's responsible to actually sire the kids, and therefore feel that feel that sense of responsibility for the kids, then they've got to go to guys who don't really feel that sense of responsibility because the kids aren't theirs. And there's still certain things that these guys can't do in exchange for these kids. And so then the kids suffer, and then they start looking for the kids themselves to fill in the gaps and taking care of themselves.
So Muhammad Abdul Bar says that is also the dating culture. It conditions men and women to be prepared to leave when things don't go as planned. Yeah, the dating culture is auditioning for divorce. It's teaching you how to walk away. When you're dating, you find something that you don't like about the person. So you leave them. You go to another dating scenario. You find out something you don't like about the person, and you leave them, and they leave you too. So the whole time is teaching you to divorce and not to work things out. I mean, because she may be wonderful, you know, but she might have a shoulder tattoo that you despise. You despise it because of the implications, right? So, but she may have done that when she was younger, and it was this and it was that, and she really ain't on that. She it's something she did when she was younger and dumber. I'm gonna say young and dumb. She's younger and dumber. Okay, and you holding that particular thing against her. Well, hey, that's your preference. Kick her to the curb. But when it comes to women looking at you, seeing something they don't like, you know, they auditioning for divorce because they initiate divorce most of the time, 70 to 80% generally, and 80% or sometimes better when it comes to African American women, things like that, or American women in general. So what you're doing, you're auditioning for divorce. You find one thing you don't like, ask for divorce. Then you live the rest of your life by yourself, which produces a single mom, no man in the home, and no father figure anyway. So it's a generational phenomena because you have no male figure anywhere. How many women want to get married don't have a wali or a wakil? How many? It's a lot. It's a lot. I come across a lot of them. So we move on to the incest part, the emotional incest. The men that they complain about, the no good men they say we don't have anymore, they're raising them. They're raising the men that they complain about. You say, well, I didn't raise him. Yeah, your friend did. Your friend raised the guy you're complaining about. Or your mother's friend, or your aunt's friend, or your grandmother's friend raised the man that you're complaining about. Like with my sons, I'm gonna veto, you know what I'm saying, or protest if they try to marry a woman that's not from a two-parent household. That's just something I want for my children. You know what I'm saying? My daughters would not marry a man that didn't come from a two-parent household. There has to be some tragedy. There has to be some tragedy, but the father was actually there, actually did raise them. Udu Bilal Mendalik, they lost their father, then okay, we can work with that. But not, the single mom thing. We're not doing that. I'm not putting my daughters in that situation.
No.
So
If they have to come from a single parent household, then we would hope that they came from a single dad, as you stated earlier, because of the stats. I mean, for one thing, as dads, we're not going to be let off the hook for their failures. Even if the failure was not our fault, we're going to be held accountable, and we probably would not know that it's not our fault if it isn't, because nobody's ever going to say, "Well, you did everything as a dad. He or she just chose to go wrong." No one's going to say that to us. Now, when it comes down to the women, and this is part of the gynocracy in the African American community, and increasingly so amongst poor whites too. Um, whatever successes come from the child, they're going to be able to take the credit. See, I raised him, and I did it all by myself. Whenever they fail, then they still get to put that off on the dad that wasn't there, and that's even if the dad didn't know that he was a dad. So they're going. That's how it's going to work, and so consequently, I'm with you in that regard. If my son has to marry, then she's going to need to have been raised by her dad, because if not, then chances are she's not going to have had a sense of accountability, and then that's going to adversely affect him. Now, I married some first time I married. She I thought she had a good relationship with her dad, But I found out later that it was just getting better, that it had been rocky a lot of times, and that they split when she was young, and that she still had some memories of, she had memories of his temper. And the funny thing was that I later on found out where he got that temper from. He's not walking around as an angry man,
Yeah.
but he must have gotten that from consistently being needled, just needled all the time.
Yep.
And that, of course, that one didn't work out. And so I then learned that no, they need to have not only been raised by dad, but they need to have seen dad as a caring dad, as a responsible man, that
Yeah.
he made the effort to put it forth. Because without that, they're never wrong. Nothing's ever their fault. And it became impossible to tell her we needed to work on this. She was always telling me, you need to work on this, that, and the other. And I'd say, see, the issue there is that they're just not that kind of money. That's what that comes down to.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what you have control over, regardless of the money. And then she would flip it back, and it was, but nothing was ever her fault. And so
The
now
angry
she's
dad,
agree.
the angry dad is something that should really be discussed. You know, I know that for a fact. I know some men that are miserable. They're miserable. They want to keep it together for the children's sake. They are miserable, so all the words don't always come out right. You know what I'm saying? They tend to snap. They're under constant pressure and stress. But nobody cares. See, nobody cares until he snaps, and once he snaps, he's the boogeyman. He's the boogeyman because the woman spent her time as the victim, but the whole time she's manipulating. She's pushing buttons and manipulating the whole time. So that's something that really needs to be discussed because it's not coincidental that men have an unfair amount of suicides more than women. You know, women say they go
Yeah.
through more than we do. Why are we killing ourselves more than them? I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, they go through more in their heads because they have to have the stories to tell in the hair salons, and on the phones. And I was talking yesterday on my own channel about this, that we're now at a point where, due to social media, you have more and more women that are confessing to certain things. But one thing that they're not confessing to is that the hair salons need to be bugged and that their phone conversations need to be tapped. They're not confessing to this because that's the safe space. That's where these things get discussed. There are pretty much three ways that they continue this. And they were doing this even before social media. Social media actually ruined it for them. But pretty much in their homes when none of the men were there. And that's why they'll send little boys out to play, but the girl gets to sit down and play with dolls in the kitchen.
Yeah.
This is where the adult women and the teenage girls are sitting up here discussing all the tricks, and I don't just mean the Johns, but the actual tricks and the deceptions and the manipulations. They're sitting up discussing this, and the little girl could be six playing with dolls, and she's allowed to hear this, either in the next room or in the room with them.
Yeah.
Then you go to the hair salons, and that's where they discuss it even more. And if somebody has to bring her son to the hair salon, then they'll sit around a trash man. But if no boys even are present, then that's when they actually get to sit up and start talking about what to do and how to manipulate men or the legal system. In other words, whatever it takes to get the most in exchange for the least. So, and then of course the phone conversations. Um, these are the spaces in which they're having these discussions, and where the ground rules are laid out for them. And this is really where it is that the sisterhood is maintained and the hyenocracy is maintained. It's in these spaces because we don't go there. We don't go into the hair salons
Yeah.
unless we're little kids and mom had to take us. We don't go into their phone conversations, and we're not staying in the house with them while they're doing all of this talking because we got to be somewhere. They're going to say, "Don't you have somewhere to go, something to do?"
Yeah.
And if you're a dad or a husband that works from home, then they're just not going to gather at your house to talk this stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to go to the house of somebody. And that's one of the reasons why you got a lot of women that are upset now that you've got more men who have jobs working from home. A lot of these ladies are upset about that
Yeah.
because it means that they don't have the same places. They can't sit up under the roof for which he paid and get on the phone endlessly and start talking about these games to play, um, while he's away at work trying to get the money to pay for that roof. Now he can maintain that roof from underneath that roof, and
Yeah.
she's upset about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because what they want actually is our misery. So they're
Well,
going through these things.
domestic disputes and things went up because of the work from home thing. COVID exposed
Hmm.
a lot of it.
Yep.
That and what they're trying to, like I told you about the meta, they're trying to get everybody inside. They actually trying to deprive us of vitamin D and everything, bro. I mean, these folks got an agenda, but nevertheless, the domestic violence calls went up. You know, calls for
Hmm.
divorce and separation and breakups. That stuff went up because absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So when you got people stacked on top of each other all the time, it's the same way when I was doing a marble floor for this Palestinian people, uh, and uh, and I used to come in at 7 o'clock every morning. I was there early, right after Fajr. I go straight to work, and we were working and getting the floor done. Then I started coming in at 9. But I already told her brother I finna get married again. Uh, she was my second at that time, right? Of the three, she was my second. So I told her brother I was gonna get married again uh, to a young girl, right? And I was just 20 something, I think. But anyway, so what happened is that he said I start coming in at 9. He said, "You got married, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I can tell." You know, he said, "I can tell." So he gave me some advice. He said, "Let me give you some advice." He said, "Keep her busy." He said, "Get her a hobby. She want to work, let her work from home. Some medial type stuff. Get her a hobby. Keep her busy. Education, stuff like that." He said, don't let you be, her hobby, basically. Like I say, I was a young guy, barely 30, if even 30, giving me advice. You know what I'm saying, and I accepted all of that. I reflect on that even today. You know, that she has to have a space of her own and not just occupying me all the time. She has to have a space of her own. Again, you know, absence make the heart grow fonder. I tell brothers too. I say give her something to miss. Don't break up and y'all miss each other. Give her something to miss while y'all together. And it's just little tidbits of advice that men give to men in order to try to make it, like Keith Sweat said, make it last. But this
Hmm.
this no man in the home and no father figure anywhere is a generational phenomena. So that can't be blamed on the man in question. And like again, I mentioned the men that they complain about are the very men that they raise. So if they didn't raise them, their mom's friends raised the one that you're complaining about. Your aunt's friends raised the one, that you're complaining about, so on and so forth. So it's there. And again, the degenerates are being produced by these single moms who, no fault of their own, can't raise a balanced individual, male or female. They can't. It's not meant for them to do so. Adam was alone, alayhi salam, was alone for a short while, and Hawa, Eve, alayhi salam, wasn't alone ever. You get what I'm saying? So man can
Yes.
indeed enjoy being alone for a period of time, but not for long. And woman should never be alone. And this is a blessing from Allah Ta'ala that as men we can only marry single women, but a woman can choose a married man that's already proven. He's already vetted. He has a family. He has a wife. He's good with that. Join him. Don't be a burden. Don't be a, a succubus. Drawing the very life out of him. But add to that family. Make yourself useful. Go over to the first wife house and help her clean up. You know, help her babysit. Hey, I'm gonna watch the kids while y'all go have a date. Things like that. Come in and
Hmm.
show your appreciation. But a lot of times they coming in and try to destroy the whole thing, bro. They coming in trying to destroy the whole thing. And this is just, like I said, this is a phenomena. We're going through it. And walaikum salam, brother Jawad, by the way.
Um, yeah, Assalamu alaikum, Jawad. He took the blame for being late, but I'm not. But I'm not going to put that on him because I know the time changed for one, maybe 2 weeks ago. That was when I found out. And I mean, I got up a little bit early today. It's already Monday morning here. I know it's still Sunday night over there, but it's Monday morning here, and I was already up, starting off early. When these ladies complain, and I don't blame them for not being able to manage um, child rearing on their own. I don't even think that men can do everything on our own. We just manage to get more done. And like you said, a lot of this is a gift from Allah. We can do more because we can say less and get more done. But by the same token, um, when these ladies complain about these men, the fact remains that it is in their selection. Because, see, for one, they're complaining, and most men cannot do what they're complaining about. It's only a few guys that even can. Um, we already know that most women don't even find more than 15% of men that they see attractive. And in the West, that 15% is the same 15% for all women. I might as well say all. If a woman's decent looking, she wants the same 15% of guys that her friend does. They're all competing for the same few men in Western countries, and that goes into these areas in which you got these single mother homes. It's the same thing. You got some boys that, or you got a lot of boys that are learning from their mothers, and when their mothers teach them gynocratically, gynocentrically, and tell them, you don't hit girls, and a lot of these boys, they take that because that's mom talking to them. And so consequently, girls are going to treat them a certain way because they can.
Let me
And
share
then
something
that
with you
sets
real
the
quick.
tone.
I'm gonna share something
Yeah.
with you. I'm coaching these kids now. At a certain age, in flag football, it's co-ed. Because they go up to 6 years old. Okay, it's co-ed. Although they can block each other. Actually, these little kids can actually push each other. So, but it's pretty much co-ed. And sometimes some of the girls they'll bump up to the tykes level, which is 7 and 8 year olds and they actually tackle. And some go 8 and 10, 9 and 12. 9, 10, 12 years, 13 years old. Sometimes very few you'll find a girl there, right? Some tomboyish type girl. She's there. She might be doing some medial position. She might be on the as a lineman or something like that. And I had mine. I coached my sister-in-law. I think she was 11 or 12, and I had her run the ball. I told her I'm gonna get you a touchdown. She was my fullback, and she actually ran and got a touchdown. It was beautiful. They were falling off of her like flies. But nevertheless, the point I want to make was that uh, when they went from flag at 5 and 6 years old to 7 and 8 year olds tackling for the first year, the first time tackling with pads on, American football, uh, the girl ran right by my tackler. So I pulled him to the side. I said, hey, dude, what happened? He said, oh, my mama told me don't hit girls. So that means if a girl is on the other team, she's gonna walk into the end zone because his mom told him, a football player, don't tackle the girls. It's more specifically said don't tackle. I know she said don't hit girls ever, right? Because it's never a reason,
Yeah.
right? She said don't tackle girls. And the little girl ran into the end zone. I was like, I ain't know what that was, you know. But he told me, Mama. I said, well, tell Mama, that you're off the team and you get no refund. Tell Mama that, you know. If we're gonna play this game, you're off the team and you get no refund, or you can just sit on the sideline all day long, which won't be fair to yourself, you know. Things like that. So I had to have a talk with Mama. So we don't do that. And again, that just plays into what you were saying, man. That telling their sons don't hit girls, there's never a reason to hit a girl, and she's pouring gasoline over his car while his new girl is in the passenger seat. She's trying to light the car ablaze. Now that guy that was in that video, babe, what are you doing? Don't do that. She lit the match. Bruh, she could have burnt herself up, burnt everybody up. Gas goes boom. Gas don't just, it goes boom. It actually, it blows up kind of. It's like an explosion. So
Yep.
she's doing that. Man, I would have put her to sleep. Everything was being videoed. I would have put her to sleep. That's real talk. And are you advocating hitting women? Do you realize she was about to cause multiple deaths? It's
That's
better for
what
her to
happens.
sleep. It's better for her to sleep.
Well, yeah, I mean, it becomes necessary at that point. You have to knock someone or rather coax someone into unconsciousness in order for other lives to be saved. But that's what happens. We're dealing with the consequence of people walking around saying never hit girls, never hit women. What you do is you say don't abuse them.
Yeah.
Don't oppress them. That's
Yeah.
what should have been said.
Yeah.
Don't go starting stuff. Because even Whoopi Goldberg said it. She said something to the effect of, these ladies need to
Yep.
understand that if they walk up hitting men, they can be dealt with as men, that they're
Yeah.
not able to beat men, and there's a reason for it. And the thing I noticed, I saw that video where that Eastern European lady walked up to a guy, hit him, and he immediately
Yeah.
knocked her on the ground,
Woo.
and she got up and did not retaliate at that point because she knew that she didn't stand a chance with that mismatch of strength. And unfortunately, there's nothing else that's going to settle the problem. But see, the same thing happened in these schools. Whenever you tell someone, you let someone know that there's no painful punishment that they're going to experience for what they do, they're going to be fresh out of control. I was teaching in the schools in the States. And at this point, if I don't get a job soon and I wind up having to go back to the States, man, I'm already writing a false resume to lie. And I'm getting people to sit up and tell lies on my behalf so that I can get jobs that don't involve teaching because I cannot teach in the States. Because if you teach in the States and you're a man, you're already going to lose that job. Only old men who came in grandfathered with tenure can keep the jobs as teachers. If you're a young man nowadays, white or black, you can't start off as a teacher and then stay a teacher unless you just luck up and get a good job at a good private school or maybe a charter school. Because and even in the private schools, the parents will say, no, 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 we don't want a male teacher because we don't trust them.
Yeah.
So there's really nowhere to go, and that's because they took all these consequences away. You can't expel the kids and have them sit at home. They
And
still have to
it's
go to an
mainly the
alternative
female
school.
teachers that are assaulting their children.
Yeah, oftentimes. It's mostly them that are even in the classrooms at this
Yeah,
point
yeah.
because they can keep the job. If they become teachers, they can actually keep their jobs. And they can do things and still keep the job. They can grab a student's ear and twist it. They can put a student over their shoulder and lift them up, especially if they know the mother. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I was teaching in my hometown, that was the second to last semester that I ever taught in the United States. It was in my hometown. I was at a public school. The kids were bad. They were terrible. They were little monsters. But you had more family involvement, and you had it from the fathers as well too. A lot of the fathers weren't with the mothers, but they were involved. That was one thing that happened a lot. So they might both show up even if they're not together. You had more grandparental involvement, both grandmothers and grandfathers. You had uncles getting involved. You had older brothers. So you did have more of that. And that's what would set these kids straight for longer. Whereas when I taught at the middle school in the Atlanta area, it was over. It was a wrap. Those kids, they were born into gangs, some of them, born into them. And dads were dead. So in actuality, that was why I roasted a large segment of the Mexican American population on one of my live streams recently. It wasn't because I hate them, it was because I had seen firsthand that when you have a school that's all us and then you got a school that's almost all them, then in our case, you could get the kids in line. Whereas in their case, you could not get the kids in line. And that even the other non-Mexican children would have to compete with them in terms of badness because they could come from homes where if dad was in the home, they controlled them because they didn't want certain trouble with certain authorities. But that's how bad it got. You take these consequences away, and then you're going to have chaos. And so now what we're seeing is that these ladies are able to sit up and hit men and drive men away. And violence is a reason to leave a woman, or it's even a reason for a woman to leave a man if she's in danger. But now what they're doing is they're endangering men because they can, because they were told men should never hit you, but they were never told you shouldn't hit men. No one ever told them this. So they're hitting men. Men have to leave. And then they're turning around and they're doing certain things to their sons. I mean, they're hitting their sons, and they'll hit their sons for things that their sons didn't even do. I hate to say it, but mothers, you're more likely to be punished for something you didn't do coming from your mom than from your dad.
And
I've
the
witnessed it.
punishments, the corporal punishment emitted by moms, they did a study. It's actually worse. And I posted it before, and a lot of sisters were like, "Yeah, that's right, that's true." I was expecting them, to be in denial again, but they actually said, "Yeah, that's true," because a woman tends to go beyond, and it turns from punishment to abuse. She tends to go above and beyond because the child laughed while getting spanked by her. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, didn't take her seriously. So the mom tends to go to extreme. Now bones are broken, skin is broken, blood emits. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Teeth are cracked. there's some permanent and a bad temporary damage that's done to the child because the mom was trying to, she pulled his arm out of socket. I pulled the baby's arm out of socket because she's trying to exert an authority that Allah didn't give her, and this is what we have. But moving on to the emotional incest, trying to hit that real quick. Again, I say the men they complain about are the ones that they and their cohorts are raising, right?
Yep.
And then they say things like, "You just like your father." They'll tell the male children especially, "You're just like your father." Okay, that's one emotional abuse that happens. But when they say they can't find a good man, so I'm gonna raise one. Now they're saying that I'm gonna raise my son to be a good man for another woman. But what happens at that time? What happens while they're raising their son to be a good man for another woman or for a younger woman that hasn't, matured yet, right? So what happens? They tell this boy at even earlier, 7 years old, and I've heard earlier, "You're the man of the house now." They tell that young boy, "You're now the man of the house." Okay. Not only that, they tell this young kid, "You're the man of the house," when he's not even a man yet, right? This is what we get. Watch this. This right here is a meme, okay? I'm going to take it that this meme is fake. I'm going to take it that it's fake. I've seen it before. The woman posts this, right? She says, "This morning, my baby said," now this boy has to be what, 3? Well, what would you guess, 3? Maybe
I
not
can't
4.
see it actually. It's not visible, but
Okay, it's probably on. I don't know why, but the child looks about 3. I don't even think 4. The woman posts, and don't take this as a joke. This is actually true. I've seen it. "This morning, my baby said, Mom, let me pump your gas. You'll never need a man long as you got me. I'm your man. I'm all you need. I love you." What 3-year-old talks like that? Now, Jawad is saying 5. I coach 5 years old. This boy would not be 5. He would not be 5. I don't think he's 4, but that's open for debate. What 5-year-old talks like that? I repeat, "This morning my baby said, Mom, let me pump your gas." Okay, let alone the fumes that come from a gas pump for a child. Fumes, right? Deadly fumes, hazardous fumes. "Let me pump your
I saw that.
gas. You'll never need a man long as you got me. I'm your man." I've heard it before, bruh. I'm
I
all
saw
you
that
need.
meme.
I love you.
I saw that meme a long time ago, and no one believed that he actually said that.
Yeah.
Um, no, everybody thought that she must have made that up, and even I did. Or I figured that maybe someone took somebody else's photo and then just made it up, and it wasn't even the mom that did it, but somebody made this up because,
Yeah.
as you stated, they don't talk like that. I mean, one thing we saw in the 80s, and you would remember this because you're older than I am, but in the late 80s, even, we had a lot of girls that were saying, "Well, I want to have a baby so I could have someone to love me back." Babies'
Yeah.
needs are too great for them to fully
Yeah.
comprehend with depth loving someone else. They do form attachments, of course, but it's not really, their own needs are too great for them to be walk around saying, "I love you and I'm going to do all of this for you." There are just certain things they can't pull off, even when they get into age 5, even at age 7. The things they cannot do until things we can't do for our parents until we are in our 20s and 30s, as much as we might like to. So I remember hearing some say this, and my mother was telling me how they were making this terrible mistake because I was a small child when I heard someone say that on the news. And my mother said, "That's a terrible mistake. And don't ever let these girls say this to you because you're going to be stuck with the bill for the baby." And I understood, yeah, it's true. But the thing is that, yeah, she's going to sit up and say stuff like this because she's not going to face the consequences for the decision that she made in terms of who she's going to lay down with. She was primed. This mother was primed. She was taught and trained and conditioned and socialized, just like every other woman was in the West, to pick the worst guy to have sex with, therefore to conceive with, and therefore that's the only one that all the responsibility for the child's going to fall on. And she was then trained and socialized to put that responsibility on other men who don't have to take it and they don't have to stick around. And when it gets to be too much because she's always needy and so was the kid through no fault of the kid's own, then these guys they don't get to stick around much. If a guy is trained and socialized to fall for this BS, which a lot of guys are, eventually experience is going to push them out of that situation again. So these stepdads and these uncles coming through, they're not going to be able to stick around. She's not going to let them anyway. And so she's going to wind up most of the time alone with the child she conceived by the wrong guy. And even Jawad just said they could have picked a nice guy but decided not to because they're taught to sexually punish by deprivation nice guys and to sexually reward irresponsible and not so nice. They're taught to do this. They're told at a young age outright. They tell each other, he's nice, he's boring, that guy's
Yeah,
mean, he's
boring.
bad, he's got tats, he's exciting because he's always in trouble.
Yeah.
And they're also taught, girl, look, if he gets in trouble, you have that you can use to control him. But this other guy doesn't get in trouble, you've got nothing to control him with. You can't call anybody on him because he didn't do anything. So
So
she's just trying to sidestep the fact that she conceived him with the wrong guy because that guy was wrong.
so the next one is this one. This is the one I have a big problem with. When they dress little boys like grown men. I'm talking about bracelets, earrings, necklaces, so on and so forth. I despise this. As a coach, I can only say so much and do so much. But they dressing these little boys to look like the dude that left them. This little boy here
Yep.
has necklace on, earrings, probably has a bracelet, you know. In these days, 2022 might have an anklet, you know. It's really a problem. They dressing children just like the dude, looks just like the dude that left them. The dude that got locked up, killed in the drive-by and in the liquor store robbery, or the dude that, you know, visits every now and then, you know. And this is a problem that we have, man. This right here breaks my heart. It breaks my heart as an adult to see children propped up like this. Why would you dress a child like this? It's a child, man. Remember Oshkosh Bagosh, you know?
Yes.
Overalls and sandbox, and, you know, the boy got earrings and a necklace on. And I'm telling you, I seen these kids, man. These parents, the way they talk to their kids, male and female, you know, because they got trash dudes that are raising children like this too, you know. But nevertheless, they got couples, young couples, you know, they got enough tattoos to sell them back to the tattoo parlor. They could actually recycle. They got so many tattoos.
Oh, God have mercy.
But the thing about it, man, this right here breaks my heart. I see it all the time. And I mean, even when they 15, even when they 13, this is not a look. This is not a look. Earrings, necklace, you know, save that for the girls, you know, and not even the little girls. Nevertheless, you know. Now the next one I have is they dress up these kids. They dress up these kids not as kids, but as little adults. This is how they dress them up. This right here. This right here gets on my nerves too. Now, if grandmama died or something, I understand. But really, you can dress them like a child at a funeral too. But see, they got him in a tie and all this kind of stuff, and you know, and all, and look at the color scheme. You know, that ain't church. You know, but I'm saying it's a problem. I have a problem with children not being allowed to be children. Look, earring in the ear. You know. Now, how does the earring benefit a little boy like this? It just it's
trying to see
for
it.
me. It's really sad. You can't see it right now. Okay.
Not yet. I'm waiting on waiting on my screen to catch up. Okay, now I can. Now.
Okay. You're a little bit on delay. Okay.
Okay, yeah, it shows up. Yeah, yeah, he's got the earring in. He's got the fade haircut.
Yeah.
Is that the picture?
Yeah. Yellow shirt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Yeah, this bothers me not as much as the necklace and the whatever, but the earring bothers me. Now, dressing him like a little man, like he'll have no memories of that when he get older. He'll have no memories of that. You know, my mom used to dress me in 3-piece suits, vest. The teacher sent a note. My mom was a seamstress. Teacher sent a note home saying, "Stop dressing your son like that. You make the other kids feel bad." Bruh, we were living in the
Mm,
projects. I'm living in the
yeah, yeah.
projects. These other kids lived in homes. And she's saying the other kids feel bad because they don't dress as dapper as I did. You know,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
they didn't know we were
Hilarious.
poor. We were poor. You know, we were poor. But nevertheless, with that being said, I don't like this. And the last example I got, and it's a few pictures though, but it's when they dress the children like they dress themselves. Look at this. Can you see this one? Well, you probably on delay a little bit.
Hold on, it's going to come up in a bit.
I'm trying to figure what is the benefit in dressing children again like adults, but mom and child dressing alike. What is that?
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
And not having him in overalls, a onesie. I'm talking about, he got the little corsage or whatever it is, the handkerchief and he looked just like mom. Do you think
Yep.
there's a
All he.
father anywhere in this picture or in this
No, I
situation?
don't. Mm-mm. No, no, I don't. I don't think so.
Eh,
Uh,
Guess what else is
not.
incest? Her friends say what? Oh, well, you a little bit older. Boy, when you turn 18, one boy, the mom told the friend, boy, when you turn 21, I'm going to give you a little something. He turned 21 and knocked on her door on his birthday, bro. And she
Mm-hmm.
let him in. Now, I don't understand waiting to 21. You are what you are. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you ruin his life at 18? Why you wait to 21? You know? And this is a
Yeah.
problem, that we are suffering from in this modern day age of single moms. Now, the next one is going to be a little more familiar to you and I. You think I'm going to leave the Negroes out?
Mm-mm. No, I
Look at
don't.
look
I
at
don't think
this.
you're going to.
Okay, now when it shows up, let me know when you got it.
All right, I'm
You
waiting
know.
on it.
So
Okay.
they
Oh
dress him
God.
up. Now you could say, well, these are kids' clothes. You know the large polo. You got the large
Yeah.
polo. I mean, I don't think they're bottom. I think she has some jean shorts or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, it just screams of no man in the picture. You know, it screams. I don't know if these little boys are twins or what have you, but it just screams no man. It screams no man in the picture. I don't like the optics. I don't like the optics. Now, worse than this one is this one here. This is worse. This one is worse. Okay. Now, when this shows up, let me know. Because see, they got matching bottoms, not matching tops, so to speak, but they got matching bottoms. And it's just, it just screams of single mom. Because
It's
otherwise,
entirely.
yeah, otherwise it would be a man, hey, can you take a picture of me and my family type of thing? It screams single mom. Now, why are they that young and have no father?
Well, as you stated, this is something that these ladies choose. See, a lot of these ladies were single moms mentally before they actually conceived, because their friends were, and their older cousins were, and their aunts were. This is a role model for them. So it's already a personality in their head before they even conceive in the first place. And they've grown up listening to their aunts and cousins and moms, grandmoms talk about how to maintain the look that they want to maintain while having to meet the needs of these little kids too. How to trick guys, how to work the system, how to not have to pay full price for certain things. They've been taught all of this stuff even before they conceive, to be honest with you. And that's part of why it is that not only can these boys be so young, But that's also why it is that she can be so young, and there's nobody else in the picture. She planned it from jump. A lot of times, a lot of these dudes that think they're just smashing, man, they don't even realize they may never find out that their dad's in the first place. But they don't realize that this is her script. She's trying to do what she saw the women in her family and her friends do, that's her script, and that's why they all look the same. That's why they all got these tats all over the place,
Yeah.
and the same tattoos in the same places, and giving the same tattoos to their babies, and then sitting up and saying he's an individual, because they're just following the script. Everybody's unique, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the script, and everybody looks the same way to try to express their uniqueness, and that's really part of their culture. Um, so, yeah, she had this in mind before she ever conceived. She really did.
Okay, I'm going to show this next one, but I found one that is not so distasteful to show. Okay, now this is the comedian Jess Hilarious. Remember, she posed with her child bucket naked. Bucket naked. She
Oh,
posed with her child. I'm gonna show the best picture that Islam would allow me to. Okay, she
oh,
posed butt naked. She's naked, and may I say, fine as the day is long. I ain't gonna even hold you. I ain't gonna even hold you, bro. But yeah, yeah. So uh, this is a Google image, and she's actually bucket naked with her son right now, bro. The boy is
uh-uh,
naked and she's naked in this picture.
uh-uh,
See the way she got him
mm-mm,
bent over?
yeah,
Emotional incest.
uh-uh.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not okay.
yeah.
It's not okay.
You, did,
No.
you
Oh
can see
God.
it though, right? It popped up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It
okay.
came up. It
Okay.
did.
There we
Yeah.
go. I'm telling you, it gets worse. It gets worse. An African woman posed with her child naked, and her whole village went off. Her whole village went off. Like, what are you doing? We don't do that. You know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. Uh, you know, and and uh, and this right here, this is just to drive the point home. I don't have the picture of the African that did it. They may have taken it off the internet. I'm not sure, but she got her tongue lashing, no pun intended, from her village. They like, we don't do that. I forgot what part of, and you'll see when this one popped up. This is just to bring it home to show you this little boy sitting on his mom. That's not reverse cowgirl. What do they call? What is the Kama Sutra name for this one?
I don't know.
Can you see it yet?
Yeah, I could wait. Yeah, I can see just hilarious and her son. I don't know what they call the position,
Yeah,
but
that's one of the Kama Sutras. They call it a something. He's straddling his mom, bro, butt naked.
um, I'm getting nauseated.
Yeah, let me take this off, man. It's really distasteful, but I'm just trying to drive the point home. It gets worse than this.
Yeah.
They lead. Listen, bro. Single moms lead in the actual physical aspect of this with their children. I heard of some that innocently would kiss the baby's penis, make the baby giggle. I know of one that stroked it because it made the baby feel good. It's all innocent. Nobody's going to jail. No, there's no CPS case. There's none of that. It's all innocent. But let it be a man. I mean, that's disgusting to think about a man doing it. Even I'm showing bias, but it's just as disgusting as a woman doing it. But everything is about the big bad wolf. Nobody questioned how grandma has something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. See, it's always the men. They're no good men, so I'm going to raise the man of my dreams. They're raising monsters. These women are on OnlyFans. When their children grow up and go to school, the other kids are going to be whispering to each other, looking on their cell phones at their mama spread eagle, at their mama doing things, doing something strange for some change on OnlyFans. That's what they're gonna be looking for. You think kids have credit cards and they only buy toys online? They'll pay that $4.99, $5.99, you know? And they actually do talk. So that's the legacy they're leaving behind for their children. My mom was bucket naked. And what kind of emotional damage is that going to cause the child when his friends are going at him and his schoolmates are going at him? You know, this is what I'm talking about. They don't know what they're doing when they break up their homes. When they wreck their own homes, they don't know what they're doing. They don't think about the children. You need to think about the children first. Well, if he was thinking about the children, he would have fought harder. Who said he has to fight? Why does a man have to fight? You can't beat a man. You can't win against a man. So you use the system to help you jump the man. And who gets affected the whole time? The kids. Because money can't raise them. Money can't raise them. I know for a fact my child support for my two oldest was paid up in full. And it ruined them. It ruined them. I'm trying to turn the tide right now, but it's, it's hard.
Well,
So
the thing is, when you're dealing with something like this, you know how whenever you investigate a crime, detectives like to say cui bono, meaning who benefits, and that's how they find motives, and they use this to get some leads and hopefully to solve the crimes, especially for things like murder or for robberies. Um, but when you start looking at a societal failure, then you can usually tell where the worst influence is coming from by whoever is held the least accountable while having the most power. That is usually that combination. It's like an index of a combination of those two things. Having power, being listened to, but not being held accountable. That's where it is that you can find where the destruction starts. And in this case, what we're seeing is, I mean, just hilarious. I didn't know that she took this photo.
yeah.
I heard about somebody posing, but I didn't know that it was her. And now she's walking around never having worn a pair of handcuffs for an hour for something like this. And no photographers have even said anything about having to photograph this and getting nauseated. Because I know the photographers had to take the photos, but they never complained of nausea or anything.
Imagine if a father did it with his daughter, which is,
Bruh, look,
I mean,
one time when my hands were busy, this is when my daughter was, she was a toddler. My oldest one, she was not a toddler. She was still a baby. She wasn't walking yet, but she could crawl and she could turn over and things. She was on the bed because we changed her diaper and dressed her and everything. And I had to take something else and move it out of the way. And so my hands were full. And she started to roll over. It was one of the first times she rolled over. And I used my hip to block her from rolling herself off the bed, right? And her mother said, if I didn't know your personality, I would have thought that you were dangerous because I had to use my hip to block her from falling off the bed.
yeah,
Now, had I not done that because my hands were full, had I not used my hip to block her from falling off the bed and she rolled over and bust her head open,
yeah,
then I would have been a no good. So you see, that was when I realized that I was in a no-win situation,
yeah,
that it was a catch-22 no matter what. It was at that point I understood it. And I still stuck around till, I stuck around all the way till 2015 when mom asked for a divorce. And even then, I said to her mom, sure, I'll give you that, but you're going to sign this permission slip so that in Morocco I can marry somebody else first. You get your divorce after I consummate another marriage.
yeah,
And that's me being nice. But I had to be that way because of how she was. But you see, that just, and this is, everybody's fully clothed, but just from stopping a baby with a hip because that's what was available to me. If I had even leaned down and tried to use an elbow to stop her from rolling herself off the bed, something could have fallen on her head. You see,
yeah,
I can't remember what I was holding at the time, but in the end, it comes down to the fact that you're just you already at a disadvantage. Living in the environment in which you live in, you're already at a disadvantage because she's already trained to see you as a predator, as a potential, as easily excitable to become dangerous to kids. This is how we're trained to see ourselves this way. And so you're at that disadvantage.
yeah,
And that's why I tell people, man, leave. It doesn't have to be Saudi. And I understand why you would not show up here. And I wouldn't advise you to even show up. But I can understand why it is that many more guys are leaving the West. You have to leave the West because they're so busy depicting you as dangerous and nasty that you actually have to readjust when you move somewhere that's more traditional and where this type of thing is seen as an accusation that you don't make without evidence. You have to actually readjust yourself to the trust that the kids and sometimes the parents will have. You have to train yourself because the kids are so innocent. They crawl up on you and hug you and all that stuff, and you're like, wow. I mean, I don't really know them that well, and mom and dad are not alarmed as long as they can see it. This is You have to readjust because of that, and then you have to realize that no, this is actually normal. This is fine. It's what you have to deal with back there in the West that isn't normal.
That's what
So
Bill Burr said that back in the day, you used to be able to pat a boy on his head and say, "Hey, good morning, Rusty," and whatever. He said now because of this, To Catch a Predator and all this other kind of stuff that's out in the media and on TV, he said a child come close, say, "Get this thing away from me." You know what I'm saying? It's so, I guess it's so easy to get a child these days. He say back in the day you had to work for it. You had to buy an ice cream truck, fill it up with ice cream, stuff like that. He said today you just go to www.5-year-olds whose parents just went to sleep.com, that type of thing. It's really like that, man. We are automatically seen as predators because even I see it that way. Like one of the popular red pill podcasts was saying, like, well, would you, if you went to a daycare and it was all men in there, a majority men, would you drop your kid off? Or would you rather go to one that was majority women or all women? And they said, well, we'd rather, go to the one that's majority all women, although they've got video footage of women abusing the kids. But see, we're already fixed to think that they are the innocent ones and we are the bad ones. And even it's hard for us to shake that. It's hard for us to shake that. But nevertheless, like I said, it's just, we'll overcome it. But this emotional incest, besides the other things that single moms are, complicit in, of societal degenerates, they need to, they need to get a handle, and get the handle on this, man. And what I want to do now, I want to move to delusional dating profile of the week, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Let's see.
Okay. Now I'm gonna start with the picture. You say what? Yeah, I said it. I'm gonna start with the picture, and then I want you to give me your assessment. Don't throw up and don't run away from the computer because that makes for bad audio. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'll try my best.
Here we go. I'm sure Jawad can see it automatically. You'll see it in a minute.
Okay, it's still updating.
Let me know when you see it. I'm gonna hear you throw up.
Bomba clock.
Oh man, yeah.
Of course, word. No. I'm with Kaiser. Is this real? Is this real?
Hey, that's the picture first. And the picture's gonna come down. And I'm gonna put up the bio. So this is what we're dealing with. Now, if this one was asked to rank itself on a scale of 1 to 10, what would they say? What would they say? Not what would you say? Because I don't think they got numbers that low. You got to go into the negatives. you got to go into the negatives. So what would you think it would say?
Yeah, I would probably need a microscope to even point out to that number.
Yeah.
But she's going to say, "Oh, I'm a 10, and we all 10s." No, I'm sorry. She would say, "Every woman is a 10.
Everybody is 11." But
Yeah.
so I'm gonna take this monstrosity down, and I'm gonna
Thank
put
you.
up the bio. So don't get mad at me, okay? I'm gonna put the bio
I'll
up.
try. I'll try not to.
Okay. Okay. I don't even know the name. What's the name? Is it Tay? I'm not sure. Yeah, I kind of gave it up by posting this. Tay. Tay is 36. Tay as in Tavius or Taquan. That's a nigga. That's a whole nigga. Yeah, that's a whole nigga, man. That's a whole nigga. Yeah. I am a confident, sexy BBW. Big Barley Wolverine. I don't know. What does BBW mean?
You just said it, Big Burly Wolverine.
Big Burly Wolverine. Okay, there we go. A burly, black burly Wolverine, whatever you want to call it. Trans. Man, look, okay, trans. We're going to stop at trans. I'm not reading that next word. I like to tell my truth. Nigga, you lied. You ain't even wrote a whole nice paragraph and you lied. You lied about 10 times. First of all, people that are confident don't have dysphoria. People that are confident don't imagine themselves, outside and beyond what they actually are. So we know you have a mental illness because you are calling yourself confident, but then you're calling yourself a Wolverine or a woman or whatever you want to call yourself. None of those are true. The Wolverine is more true than the woman. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah, brother Charles and Abdul Wali and whoever else, Kaiser Souza, or anybody else I missed. But this is what I'm talking about. This thing is posting on the woman's side. Okay? Now the picture is very honest. It's letting men know, you about to die. You about to die the death of a you about to die 1,000 deaths. You know what I'm saying? So, my truth. I like to tell my truth. I'm not anyone's sugar mama. You're not a mama at all, dude. You're not a mom at all. See the delusion? This monstrosity. This, what do you call that thing? Not Armageddon. What is it called? What's the thing? The conglomerate of ugliness. What is this thing? Oh, I'll think of the name. Anyway, I'm not anyone's sugar mama or mom at all. So don't be that guy. Nah, he won't be a guy after he with you. For some reason, I think you're on top. It's just a hunch. Okay. If you find one, let me know if she has a brother for me. So yeah. So hey, look, man, we dealing with it, man. These are the days. These are the times. Love me some sexy fellas. So there's no reciprocity. There's no reciprocity. Cause man, that's it's mega something. You remember what's that one, Venom? Like a fat ass Venom.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The one Spider-Man's arch enemy, look like a fat ass Venom in the mouth.
Unforgivable.
Old storage wars mouth. You bid on bid on his mouth while it's closed, hoping there's a whole bunch of furniture inside that sucker.
Oh God have mercy.
Yeah, but anyway, love me some sexy fellas. If you wear a uniform, that's a weakness.
Look, I wear a track team uniform because I'm going to be running the other direction.
Yeah, I wear a football uniform.
You're going to tackle him. Wow.
I wear a karate uniform. Yeah. Yeah, I wear a bear hunter's uniform. Oh, subhanallah, man.
You were roasting the stew out of
that. Hey, bro. I mean, the hubris. The hubris. It's, love me some sexy fellas. If you wear a uniform, that's a weakness. LOL, karaoke and whiskey lover, let's hang. No, nigga, you already hanging.
You
You,
wasting.
bro, we ain't for the sword fight. This ain't back in the day. We use guns today. We don't use those swords.
Lord have mercy. Man, I'm not even fighting. I'm telling you. He could come up to me like, say, bro, you want to
Bow,
scrap? Nope, I sure don't. I don't want to touch you.
bow, just like that.
I don't want to. I don't want to wrestle. I don't want to. I don't want no kind of skin to skin contact
Hey,
with this dude.
here's the coup de grace. Here's the coup de grace. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds right. Here's the coup de grace. Add my social media. Just don't be a weirdo. Bruh, the irony.
No.
The irony. There's so much irony, it turned metal. This sucker said, add my social media, just don't be a weirdo. Can I be less weirdo than you?
No. I mean, no. You already are less weirdo than.
No, I'm saying
she, whatever.
he doesn't want a weirdo, but okay, can the person you're looking for be less weirdo than you? Because ain't nobody gonna top you. It's like when they tell me, you know, Muslim brothers and sisters, they say, you ignorant of this deen, you know? And I say, if I'm ignorant of the deen, I say, you need to pray, you know? And that's not a boastful thing. I'm saying, like, we're discussing a subject that's well known in Islam. You happen to disagree with it, you know, and you call me ignorant. So if I'm ignorant, what does that make you? So we got to watch how we hurl these insults. And this sucker right here said, just don't be a weirdo. How? How is that earthly possible? If there's life on other planets, the worst one wouldn't be as weird as you. You got a Elijah Muhammad's spaceship door mouth. Look like all the Nation of Islam been of him. Every time a Nation of Islam die, they go in our mouth.
Oh, wow.
I'm just saying, bro, like, don't be weird. Don't be a weirdo. Yeah, but anyway, see, this is what we're dealing with right here, man. And I talked about this before, how women are the biggest supporters of women, how women support against their own interests. They lobby against their own interests. They are the biggest supporters of the LGHTV 4K HDMI community, right? They're the biggest supporters. Who does that hurt the most? Ovarian cancer, uterus cancer. Black women lead in the cases of HIV and AIDS. They lead. How do you think they're contracting that? Because they're too friendly with the community. They're too friendly with the community.
And yet they always use that description as an epithet for men to whom it does not apply.
Yeah. That's how we know Kevin Samuels wasn't one of them, because they call him that.
I was just about to say,
Yeah.
that you nowadays know someone is innocent of that because a Western woman, especially a Western sister, is going to point the finger. That's an exoneration right there. The accusation is an exoneration, and you beat me to it. You said it better than I could. We know Kevin Samuels was innocent of that because they said he did it.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I mean, I lived in Atlanta. I was living in Atlanta, married to my first ex when the first time I saw you on YouTube with some of the videos you used to give. And one of the things I knew about that community early on is that if you're one of them and you make it big, they don't let you leave them behind.
Yeah.
That's not how they operate. If you one of them and you make it big, whoever knows that you ever got down, one of them is going because it'll probably be one of those partners who get up and say, no. I live in this community. We do it this way, and so and I got busy, bumped uglies. So I mean, he been in Atlanta. He got big, and not one of them came out and said, "Yeah, I hit that." Not one of them, and that's when I knew. Okay, that's not. And then sisters started saying, "Oh, he's 9AY." After all this time of not saying anything like that, they started saying he 9AY because he started holding ladies accountable. I said, "Okay, that's it right there."
And when he passed away, in the manner in which he passed away, they start saying the woman was trans, you know,
right.
Or trans dude, you know, whatever. Man, that beautiful thing right there, boy. Ain't nowhere in the world got no man up in there. Ain't no Y chromosome nowhere in that one. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
So again, they were mad because he died on a dime.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
died on a dime, and they hate it. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, he literally wore himself out
Yeah.
on this woman,
Yep.
and they were upset about it.
They were mad about that.
They
Tried to
and you know
spread
what I was
rumors he was with a trans at the time. Come on, man.
and I was so glad that they were mad. I hate to say it, but
Oh yeah.
I was
Yeah.
really just happy to see them angry because of not because I'm just petty, but because of how
Yeah.
much they had ruined and participated in the
Yeah.
ruin of not only the U.S. but more specifically Black America.
Yeah.
Because you know my son, he's still there. He wants to leave. He wants to get out, as he should want to. And I remember. Well, I won't cover this part, but I mean, he can see the deterioration. He saw it. He first told me what he saw back in 2017 that he
Yeah.
was seeing the deterioration.
Yeah.
And now you look at it, and it's exactly this. They've been so, like you said, they've been so friendly, um, and they've been walking around here throwing this accusation around with guys on guys that are innocent of it. And the whole time, not only are they accusing innocent men of this as an epithet, but they've actually been laying down with the ones who actually did stuff like this,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing that they've done that. So they've actually been giving it up to somebody who was using the same tool in a rear
Have
end
you
earlier.
have you seen any episode of Fresh and Fitna where he was trying to draw a parallel to the women about how we feel about women with high body counts? He said, Fitna said, what if you were with a guy that you really like and you found out that he used to get down, with the same team, in the past? How would you feel? Some of them say, oh, nope, nope, we done. Nope, no, nope, nope. Almost half, a little less than half said, or a couple of them said, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
I didn't see that one,
The
but I would have
same
been surprised.
ones would yell that insult at you if they were mad at you.
Yeah.
But they say they have no problem with it. They have no problem with getting uterus cancer. They have no problem with getting ovarian cancer. They have no problem with UTIs. You know what I'm saying? And all other diseases that come with a dirty phallus. You know what I'm saying? And one thing you got to understand, it wasn't Pete Davidson. I forgot. I mentioned it before. That a guy went to the doctor, a doctor friend of his, to complain that he was feeling really sick. So he got tested for STDs. He was with this big chick, and they did, they went into they entered the house through the wrong door, basically, right? So,
Okay.
and he said he was feeling sick, and I forgot this guy's name. He was feeling sick, and his friend doctor checked him out, went through all the things, and said, "Look, man, there's nothing wrong with you. You have no STDs." Then he confessed that this is what he did. And the doctor said, "Wait a minute, let me test something else." Found fecal matter in his, pee hole, basically,
Oh.
and that was making him sick. That what was making him sick. So imagine you take that, and I never thought about that fecal matter goes in. I never thought about that. Because if you ain't with that lifestyle, you don't think about stuff like that. There are certain diseases that are unique to them. Certain diseases a woman get, the doctor says, do you know the guy really that you've been with? And they say, yeah, it's my husband. Say, oh, well, I mean, is he all right? Is he crooked? Or is he straight? Because the doctor will ask those questions because there are diseases that Allah put specifically for these people, like monkeypox, right? That's why you don't hear about monkeypox no more, because they realize it's right there, it's concentrated, and you don't want to make them feel bad, right? Walking around looking like a Jiffy popcorn box. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, they got fecal matter in the head of the penis, in the urine hole. So they go and sleep with a woman. What do you think she's gonna get?
Yeah.
It's not made. It's not made to be there. She's gonna get yeast infections. Everything's gonna be off. So this is what they're doing. But they support that. So have fun with that.
Oh God have mercy.
Yeah, yeah. This is what we're going through, and this one comes from Facebook dating, and it's bad out here, man. It's bad out here. Now that one can't fool anybody, you know, that one can't fool anybody. You know, but there are other ones I saw that can fool, and these are on the dating sites too. Because remember, you can't discriminate. You know what I'm saying? You can't incriminate or discriminate at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You know, this is what we're dealing with. You know. So anyway, man, I'm utterly disgusted right now.
We both are. We both are. I don't think either one of us was ready to find out about this.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? This profile had everything wrong with, at least with the West today, in in this one photograph and in this one bio.
But think about it. If it would have been a woman, an actual woman, right? It's par for the course. It's like it's nothing strange about it. If it had been an actual woman, right? Because they look like that and speak like that. Don't be a weirdo. Well, now I can't out weirdo you. You know? So, but because it confessed to being a gay elephant.
Oh wow.
You know, I mean, a gelephant, I guess you would call it. But anyway, because it confessed, which, you know, Hercules, I commend Mrs. Mr. or Mrs. Clump. You know, I commend them, you know. So anyway, with that being said, if that would have been an actual woman, a biological woman, and there's only one kind, there's only biological, right? There's no pretend.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do make believe here. The profile would have been consistent with what we read all the time, or what I read all the time. It would have been consistent, you know. But you could see that anyone, even people that pretend to be a woman, carry the same delusion. Even a pretend woman has the same level of delusion. This is wild. This is wild.
Because it is ingrained. It's ingrained now that we are simply of no value. That the value of the man is in the negative. It's ingrained now in the men and the women alike.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it is now at this point. And that being said, I got 10 minutes to make this coffee appointment because it's morning
Okay.
time here.
All right,
But
inshallah. I'm about to close out anyway, Yak. I appreciate you coming on as always. You make it really easy for me. I'll be struggling
thank
when
you
you
for
ain't here, bro.
and look, thank you for having me on, and make dua for the job situation because you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
just shown everybody else another reason that I am prepared to illegally stay somewhere to not go back. You just now explained it to everybody. So thanks a million. That one dating profile, put it
Yeah.
out there for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I promise not to do that ever again. I'm gonna try not to.
Well, you gave me a warning this time, and
Okay,
and I
okay.
appreciate that. If you give us the warning, then we should be able to steel ourselves. But the thing is that this had to be done.
Yeah.
You don't really owe an apology for it because this needed to be pointed out.
Yeah.
Because people can they can scroll down and see it, but you actually showed the right reaction to it.
Yeah.
And you know, Islamically speaking, we're supposed to have exactly your reaction to it. We're not supposed to be okay with it. We shouldn't become desensitized if we can help that. So you know, the Muslims really needed to know because every so often we get desensitized to something, and you come along and you show us why we really shouldn't be that desensitized. Thank you.
All right, alhamdulillah. Get to your appointment, Akhi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thanks a million. Y'all take care.
Well, that's all that I have. I apologize, Jawad, Abdul Wali, Kaiser Souza, Charles, is that Erdaby? And everybody else, you know, that's here. I apologize deeply, but I had to show that with me. I couldn't let that pass by. You know, that was wild. You know, you shouldn't have no standards. You know, you should be on not what's that site, Tinder? You know, you shouldn't be on Tinder. You should be on milk bone dog biscuits milk bone dog biscuits dating site. You know, you should be looking for milk bone dog biscuits. Any type of animal you can find, you know, preferably of the bovine variety. You know, anything. Don't be a weirdo, subhanAllah. I know, Jawad, subhanAllah. Don't be a weirdo. Yeah, can't be weirder than you. Anyway, this is all that I have. This has been your brother, Saad Imam for X Factly. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.